Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling, and hope you guys are having a good day and really appreciate you taking some time to check today's video out. And today got another story for you. I'm going to tell you about the day I spent in the boat with a billionaire, what it was like. I sort of want to go over this whole thing from start to finish because, I mean, seriously, how many times do you get a chance to go bass fishing with a billionaire? It was sort of a once in a lifetime deal. I'm going to explain it to you guys in today's episode. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick housekeeping tips that you guys have to absolutely endure and bear with every day that I really appreciate you taking some time to listen to. Just wanted to invite you all to check out my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. Guys, these are breakdowns that have taken me like over 5 years to build for Fish the Moment. And each breakdown gives you like 40 GPS waypoint locations on your favorite lake that you can download straight to your GPS unit. Tips and advice on how to fish each spot, and you can duplicate them. So I'll put my Fish the Moment lake map breakdown link in the description. And also, guys, April sale on my Solar Bat Series sunglasses, 30% off. Also 30% off on e-prescription lenses. Use the promo code RandyB to get free shipping. So link in the description there. Really appreciate you guys putting up with that. Okay, this is interesting story. Of course, I never thought I'd, be in the position to do this. Let me start from the beginning and I'll run you through it. Back in 2010, I had lost my title sponsor. And I had to drop out for a year of fishing the FLW tour because my mom had a stroke and I was helping take care of her. Lost my title sponsor. Things weren't looking too good. And anyway, I got a call from Trish Jacobs, who was the president of FLW at the time. And Trish was very aware of my conservation and my environmental viewpoints, and she wanted to know if I'd be interested in getting sponsored by the Pickens plan. Now, the Pickens plan was a sponsor of the FLW tour through Boone Pickens. And if you don't know who Boone Pickens is, he was like the founder of the Standard Oil Company, and he made billions in the oil industry as an oil man. And, a big contributor to the, Oklahoma University and all that type of stuff, Oklahoma State. So anyway, one of the things that Boone wanted to do is he was sort of a visionary, and he saw the fact that we are running out of fossil fuels, and this is coming from an oil man. So he saw the writing on the wall, and he wanted to help transition like into wind energy, wind turbines. And so they thought I would be a good fit to promote it because of my environmental viewpoint. So anyway, they got me set up, and I, ran a fully wrapped Pickens plan boat and truck, that year on the circuit. But anyway, at the beginning of the year of January 2011, they invited me down to Boone Pickens Ranch down in Texas. Again, Boone's multi-billionaire. So we go down to the ranch there, drove down there, and Erwin Jacobs was there, who was the, founder of FLW, who was very wealthy. And, Trish Jacobs, president of FLW, her daughter, we were down there basically just to meet Boone and talk about the Pickens plan and all that type of stuff, how they wanted to move forward with it. And guys, I got to tell you right now, it's like the way billionaires live, it's hard for most people to relate to it, because when we pulled up to this thing, he had this 100 and something thousand acre ranch in Texas, and this was his weekend place. His regular home and business were in Dallas, Texas, but his ranch was out, on the western part of Texas a little bit, over 100,000 acres. And we roll into this thing, it's like a dang compound, and it's like you had like I guess it was like a sort of like a guest facility or just part of the ranch. But we pulled into, and imagine pulling into Bass Pro Shop. You guys know how cool Bass Pro Shop is, the decor. It was like that. It was freaking massive. And they had, people, they had a full staff, like a full kitchen staff. They had just everyone there, waiting on Boone Pickens. So we go in there, and Boone gives us a tour of the thing, and it was unbelievable, guys. Like, also when I was there, the head football coach for the University of Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State University, he was there pheasant hunting on the ranch, so he was there hanging out with us in the living room. And so I'm there with Boone Pickens and Erwin Jacobs, and of course I'm just this little peon bass fisherman in the middle of these billionaires there. But anyway, this facility he had there was unbelievable. He had like a theater system that was like a real theater system, like you go to the movies, something like that. The doors into the living room were like probably 20 feet tall, with these big, like 15-foot tall portraits everywhere. Just freaking unbelievable. And his home on the ranch was on the other side of the ranch. And to give you some type of a scale on how big of a place this was, this entertainment or whatever facility that we were there was on one side of the ranch, and his private home was on the other side of the ranch, and he had to take a helicopter to get to it because it was so far over there. So anyway, we spent the day hanging out there in the lodge and just visiting and talking about this and that. So finally that afternoon we were going to go fishing together, and I had my boat down there, and on the ranch there, he had probably, like, I don't know, 50 or 75 lakes on the ranch of differing sizes, anywhere between a couple acres to hundreds and hundreds of acres. So we went and we launched my Pickens plan boat there in one of the lakes they had there. He had a boat ramp, and Boone and I went out fishing together, just the two of us. And at the time, Boone was I think he was in his early 80s. So he was, a little bit more philosophical, being a little bit older. And we get out there, and I'm like talking to him a lot about this whole wind energy thing, and wanting to promote it. And I was telling him about some of my ideas about having some type of solar energy for your battery chargers or something like that, and developing some type of technology to introduce solar energy into the bass fishing bass boat market. And he was all ears. He said, man, I'm going to get my people onto that. Really, really like the idea of it. But anyway, the interesting part of it, I'll get into the fishing part of it, but the interesting part of it is he was explaining to me about wind energy and the whole reality behind why it has not taken off. Now, he told me he goes, Randy, I've invested $900 million into wind turbines. He had wind turbines all over, like, Western Texas and, everywhere out in that part of the country. $900 million, and he built these turbines. They're ready to go. But until you have an infrastructure to actually transmit that power, you can't really do much to them. And the problem with that is the cost of this infrastructure to create a solar wind infrastructure to distribute the energy across the country was going to cost like trillions of dollars, because he said it's very similar to like when Eisenhower came up with the interstate highway system back in the 1950s. That was a multi-trillion-dollar project, but he knew that would be good for the country. So they got Congress to approve it, and the interstate system we have now was as a result of that. And Boone's vision was to do the same thing with wind energy. He said, we have got to get these transmission grids built. We've got to get the funding for it, because until we do this, we cannot capitalize on this wind and solar energy and all the alternative green energy. And you got to remember, guys, this is coming from an oil dude. This is the guy that made a fortune in oil. He is smart enough to see that we got to get rid of fossil fuels and move forward. He said, but the problem, he goes, I've been lobbying Congress, for a long time to try to get the funding to get this infrastructure going, but they wouldn't pass it. Nobody would get on board, because so many people in Congress are supported by the oil companies, and the oil companies do not want wind energy. So you've got this whole, political thing where people have political agendas that are keeping us from advancing, forward in the technologies that are more sustainable for our planet and the people here. He was super frustrated that this was such a no-brainer to do, but people would not let it happen, simply because if they did it, they would probably lose their backing from those big oil companies. He was really frustrated about it. But anyway, we were out there fishing. We probably caught 8 or 10 fish together out there. And the cool thing about it, and this is one of the things, the common threads I've seen in bass fishing, because I've had a chance to fish with actors and actresses and professional athletes, and people from all walks of life, wounded veterans, literally every walk of life you can imagine. And this is no different when Boone, it's like when Boone caught a bass, there's something that happens inside of you that you forget about everything else, whatever identity that you have, whatever ego you have. It gets down to that primal excitement of, I caught a fish. It's like that was an experience that you don't feel every day. And he lit up. And that was the coolest thing about it, is to see this dude that was freaking worth billions of dollars, and he's got this, all these freaking ideas going around in his mind, and he's got people tugging at him from 6 billion different directions. And when he catches a fish, everybody's on this equal playing field as far as the emotion and the excitement about it. And that's one of the most precious things about bass fishing that I have ever seen, is how the common denominator about how people feel when they catch a fish. It takes them to a different place. It takes them to a good place. It's good for them. There's not anything that is like, toxic about it whatsoever. So when I saw that, when I saw him set out there, and, he threw the plastic worm out there, and the line's, moving out, and him set the hook, and he gets this excited grin on his face. I mean, I just love to see that. But anyway, we fished for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours together out there, and, talked about a wide range of topics. And he was telling me about, they had a bunch of archaeologists on his ranch at the time we were there. They were actually excavating a T-Rex skeleton on the ranch, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, it's like, it's, people are just people. It doesn't really make any difference how much money they have. He started out with nothing and built that up there. And I think a lot of people put other people on pedestals, usually people that have a lot of money or influence or fame or political power. And guys, we're all the same. Nobody's any better, nobody's any worse than anyone else, although we have a society that sort of perpetuates that a little bit, which is not right. But anyway, I just thought it was a cool story. I just wanted to share that with you guys, and hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll talk later.